Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to another Voidtrain guide. Today I'm going to show you guys how to get the chests from the puzzle sections, pretty much how to get loads of loot. If you're a bit grinded down by the grind for resources, this guide is going to help you a lot understand how to complete these puzzles. So make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, go and check out the rest of my Voidtrain content, and let's go. I think it's around phase 7 or 8 that you unlock the throne rings. You don't necessarily need them straight away, so it might be something that you just leave until you get to this story point where it says to follow the fireflies. I didn't get the fireflies though until I'd hit level 10 and I had access to the grabber, but you don't actually need the grabber, you just need the winch and the throne rings. I noticed the game does this a lot. It says the stuff to craft and you think you're going to need it for something, but maybe not until a bit later. But by now you should have at least your winch made up that you can go ahead and propel yourself with your throne rings. Until you see that story mission pop up where it says to follow the fireflies, don't bother going anywhere with these throne rings, save them up for this exact point. So you go ahead and throw them on the rocks, and then obviously you use the winch to pull yourself along. And you're going to follow this path of debris rocks that are floating through the sky. You'll know by now that if it's green, you can throw a throne ring on it. If it's yellow, it's just going to disappear. And if it's red, you can't place it. You'll find the metal debris not able to put the throne rings on, only the rocks. I would say if you're paying attention enough, you probably need at least 10 throne rings, and don't worry about getting back. You can see these little sharp spiky red things. They're actually anchor points, which you can use to get back or even help you get forward. A few other things to note is that yes, it is a little bit tricky sometimes. If you throw one too far, even though it says it's green, you won't actually be able to latch on with your winch. So do make sure it's maybe a little bit closer than you think it could be. And that's pretty much it. You just got to get yourself across these rocks, pulling your winch across, and you'll come across to a bunch of little smaller islands. Now, you've seen some of these islands in the past. I've shown you guys in my little Let's Play. I was disappointed there wasn't any resources. Well, it has to be the ones with these fireflies leading you, and you have to get to the story point where it says for you to go and try them out. When you get closer, you might have to shoot some of the boards to gain access. You might be lucky and find like a piece of wood or another small resource in or floating around. But generally, there's not much here. And again, it's a bit disappointing that there isn't some more stuff to go ahead and loot. I guess they're saving it for the end. Now, there are a couple directions you can go, so you really have to pay attention, but basically look for the one that goes on the longest. If it's a short direction, or it looks like it's going to end, then that's probably not where you need to go to solve the tiny little puzzle. So keep going with the longest amount of islands in a row or in one direction. Eventually, you'll come across to a tree that has these stones, and you might also notice that some of these cliffs have pictures on them. Once you get over to the tree, you simply have to organise the stones so that the blue light is the symbols that you've seen in the correct order. The chest with all the loot is going to be inside this funny spear. All you have to do is simply press E to rotate them around. So this one was a crab, then a squid, and then the third one was going to be the crab again. Once done, the spear will dissipate and you're left with a floating chest. Now these chests, you don't have to panic, they're not going to suddenly drop. You'll have to carry them. You can still use your winch while you're carrying the chest, but if you want to do anything else like shoot your gun, you're going to have to drop the chest momentarily. These chests can only be opened when you take them to a depot. So now all you've got to do is go ahead and use your winch to get back to the starting point. You definitely want to make sure you've got a couple rings spare, just in case you do get to a point where some reason you can't hook on to either one of the anchor points that are naturally there, or you've maybe left one a bit too far. But just to show you exactly what happens to the chest, you can see it's just floating up in the sky, and I can go ahead and get it. Now I've got myself a little bit further. Once you're back on the train, make sure you place the chest down, don't just throw it. If you throw anything, it can get lost when you go through the barricades at the portal doors. So you do need to make sure you've placed the chest down properly. Back at the depot, take it over to the anvil, pop chest on, and it's gonna absolutely give you a ton of different loot. At first I was a little bit disappointed that I was only getting basic resources from it, but there is a lot of resources here that you get. They actually stacked in like 2 or 3s. So although it's nothing spectacular or special, it's definitely going to help you grind a bit less getting these resources, and it's probably just about worth the trouble, as well as obviously the mushrooms you saw there. That's what you're going to need to feed your Ruffalo, your pets, and that's how you can also get more resources in the future. And there we go, that's how you solve the puzzles, use your proper winch and the climbing hooks properly, and I'll be back with a guide about the Ruffalos in the future. Until next time, ratbags, laters.